Rubio to warn Venezuela leader of Maduro's fate if defiant. Turkey urges U.S. to resolve Iran disputes one by one, says Iran ready for nuclear talks. A year into Trump presidency, pivot to China gathers pace. Scandal tests Peru's China ties as U.S. scrutiny intensifies. Iran closes airspace, announces live fire drills over Strait of Hormuz. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio is expected to issue a sharp warning to Venezuela's acting president Delcy Rodriguez, saying she could face the same fate as her predecessor Nicolas Maduro if she fails to comply with U.S. demands. In prepared testimony to the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, Rubio says Rodriguez is fully aware of what happened to Maduro, who was seized by U.S. commandos earlier this month and flown to New York to face drug trafficking charges. Rubio is expected to tell lawmakers that the United States is prepared to use force, if necessary, to secure cooperation from Venezuela's new leadership. He will defend the operation that captured Maduro, calling him an indicted drug trafficker rather than a legitimate head of state. Rubio says the mission succeeded without American casualties or a prolonged military occupation. Venezuelan officials claim more than 100 people died during the raid, including those who tried to protect Maduro. Turkey's foreign minister has urged the United States to settle its disputes with Iran step by step rather than pursuing a broad, sweeping agreement, warning that a comprehensive deal could humiliate Iranian leaders and derail diplomacy. Speaking to Al Jazeera, Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan said Ankara opposes any foreign military intervention against Iran, calling it wrong to start another war. He advised Washington to address issues with Tehran one at a time, beginning with Iran's nuclear program, instead of presenting all demands as a single package. Fidan said forcing multiple issues into one large deal could be difficult for Iranian officials to accept and could appear humiliating to their leadership. He added that Iran is ready for talks on its nuclear program. His comments come as U.S. President Donald Trump continues to apply pressure on Tehran. Trump recently said a U.S. naval armada is positioned near Iran, while warning against renewed nuclear activity or further violence against protesters.
When President Donald Trump returned to office with his America First agenda, many expected China's already slowing economy to suffer. Instead, Beijing has strengthened ties with other major trade partners and posted record economic gains. Analysts say strained U.S. relations with traditional allies have opened doors for China. Beijing has expanded partnerships with countries such as Canada and India, helping the world's second-largest economy reach a record trade surplus of $1.2 trillion in 2025. Monthly foreign exchange inflows have hit historic highs, and global use of China's currency, the yuan, continues to grow. China is now positioning itself as a stable and predictable trade partner at a time when U.S. policies are seen as increasingly uncertain. That strategy is on display this week as British Prime Minister Keir Starmer arrives in China, the first visit by a UK leader in 7 years, seeking to repair strained business ties. His trip follows Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney's recent visit, during which Canada and China signed a deal to reduce trade barriers and deepen strategic cooperation. Carney described China as a more reliable partner.
A political scandal in Peru is putting fresh scrutiny on the country's close ties with China, just as the United States increases pressure on Beijing's influence in Latin America. Peru's acting president José Jurri is facing criticism over undisclosed meetings with the Chinese businessman Xi Huayang. Jurri, who took office last October, admits meeting Yang 3 times but denies any wrongdoing. Yang owns Chinese import businesses in Peru and holds a concession for an energy project. He has also been linked in past congressional investigations to Chinese firms accused of corruption. The controversy, dubbed Shifagate by local media, has triggered impeachment motions in Congress and a preliminary investigation by Peru's public prosecutor. The scandal comes as Washington ramps up efforts to limit China's influence in the region. Analysts say the Trump administration's recent capture of Venezuela's president sent a strong signal that the U.S. wants to push extra-regional powers out of the Western Hemisphere, increasing pressure on governments like Peru's. Iran has issued an aviation warning announcing live-fire military exercises near the Strait of Hormuz, just hours after U.S. military assets arrived in the Middle East, a clear sign of rising regional tensions. Iran's notice to airmen published Tuesday says live-fire drills will take place from January 27 to 29 within a 5-nautical-mile zone around the strait. Airspace from ground level up to 25,000 feet will be restricted and considered hazardous during the exercises. The Strait of Hormuz is one of the world's most critical maritime choke points, carrying millions of barrels of oil each day. Any disruption in the area can quickly impact global energy markets and international security. The Iranian warning comes as the United States increases its military activity in the region. U.S. Air Force's Central has launched multi-day readiness exercises to demonstrate rapid deployment capabilities. Washington has stated that all options remain on the table in dealing with Tehran, including possible military action.